Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Michael Keenan, who is the Portfolio Director and Producer for the upcoming Antibody Engineering and Therapeutics event, which is going to be in San Diego next week. And we're going to have a quick preview of the event. So, Michael, first of all, how are you, my friend?
Doing great. Just tying things up for the end of the year. I'm looking forward to next week.
I'm sure you are. Now, before we start talking about AET next week, you and I actually met a few weeks ago in Brussels for TIDES Europe. So how did TIDES Europe go, particularly as is one of the first live events that I'm sure you attended since lockdown?
It went great from our perspective. We've also gotten evaluation forms back from attendees. That was a hybrid event. We had great attendance, fantastic networking, excellent speakers. I think people were thrilled to be back in person, and so I think we're very happy with how that went. A lot of exciting new science presented, giving us a preview of, as kind of we talked about, the TIDES US event coming up in May. So yeah, we're real happy with it.
Brilliant. Now, obviously, Antibody Engineering and Therapeutics starts next week.
Yes.
There are quite a lot of events out there based around antibodies because obviously it's a huge therapeutic area. Yeah. What makes AET so unique?
This is a very unique event. Not being biased, it's the in my opinion, it's the best event in the world for antibody engineering and therapeutic community to come together. It's been running for over 25 years. It's the longest running event in the field. And one of the key differentiators for this event is that it's run in collaboration and cooperation with the Antibody Society, right. Which is one of the most prominent societies in the antibody field. And so we work very closely with the Antibody Society, who really shapes this meeting and kind of creates the sessions and helps bring the speakers together. So it's a meeting that, in my opinion, is unsurpassed in terms of the quality of science and networking and speakers compared to any other event on the market.
Right. Okay. Well, let's talk about antibodies, because obviously there are a lot of therapies out there at the moment which are in the public eye in terms of new therapies out there. So where does the antibody therapies stand in relation to those other therapies out there?
Antibody market is a huge market, and I think that's one of the reasons that this event has been so successful over the years. I think I read a recent market report saying $180 billion in 2021, with exponential growth still coming in the next several years. A lot of the most successful cancer drugs on the market are antibody therapeutics. A lot of the new modalities that are emerging, beyond antibodies are because the antibody market has been so successful. So these new modalities are being brought out to sort of kind of compete with the antibody field. So it's a huge market. There's hundreds of preclinical and clinical programs in development. As I mentioned, very successful in the cancer field. And one of the big things that they're trying to do now is sort of take antibodies and, how can we apply them to new therapeutic areas outside of cancer? So it's just a very, very exciting field. Lots of marketed products, lots of things in development. And you come to Antibody Engineering, which people call the San Diego conference in San Diego every December, to learn about all these updates from, kind of world-renowned experts in the field.
Right. Now, you're in a unique position as the producer of the event, because obviously you'll get a lot of papers submitted to you for presentations and speakers talks. So what key trends have you seen, particularly leading up to this event, and what are the key trends which are going to be discussed next week?
Sure. Yeah. Like I mentioned, this event is organized in conjunction with the Antibody Society, and so at the beginning of every year, actually starting usually at the December meeting, we'll have a little regroup and talk about kind of coming trends. And some of the things we'll be talking about this year are the application of machine learning and artificial intelligence in antibody and protein engineering. A lot of work in that area. Obviously, due to the pandemic, there's a lot of research and products coming forth related to antibodies and COVID treatments and other pathogens. As I mentioned earlier, lots of looking at antibodies and, hey, how do we apply this therapeutic modality to non-cancer indications? Cancer was kind of the low-hanging fruit, if you will. So now it's sort of like, how do we tackle these tougher targets, these tougher diseases, and bring that antibody therapeutic to bear in those areas? The other big thing is, always trying to figure out ways to improve the kind of current antibody properties. There might be a marketed antibody drug for cancer right now. Let's say a competitor wants to bring a new antibody to market. How can they bring an antibody that has better properties, maybe get a competitive advantage? So looking at things like the FC region, looking at delivery administration, looking at new engineering approaches. Those are all ways to improve properties of antibodies that we discuss at this meeting. And of course, this is a meeting that's heavily targeted towards the industry community and pharma biotech companies, and they always want to hear about what are the latest preclinical and clinical learnings that other companies are hearing in their programs, and how can we apply those lessons to projects that we may be doing. So those are some of the themes that we'll be talking about next week.
All right, well, that's a nice segue actually to my next question, which was, who are some of the keynote speakers and what will they be talking about?
So we've got a stellar keynote lineup this year. Very excited about it. We've got Aviv Regev, who is the EVP of R&D at Genentech, came from MIT. She's going to be talking about cell atlases. We're very excited to have her. Christian Anderson from Scripps, talking about sort of data-driven approaches to, kind of pathogens and pandemic, obviously some COVID-related stuff being talked about there. We have Jim Wells from UCSF, who's going to be talking a lot about sort of neoepitopes in cancer. And then we have Charlotte Dean from University of Oxford talking about, I mentioned earlier, machine learning and artificial intelligence approaches to antibody and protein engineering. So very excited about that keynote lineup.
And apart from the talks and the keynote presentations, what else can delegates look forward to in San Diego?
There's a lot happening. We have I would say 100 posters planned for the event, between the in-person posters and the virtual posters. It's always a huge networking opportunity, kind of reviewing all those poster presentations and all that kind of discussion among attendees. This year we are presenting the Jim Houston Science Talent Award presentation. Jim Houston was one of the longtime organizers and advisors of the meeting who passed away, I believe, a year or so ago. And so this is a award that's being presented this year to kind of recognize his legacy in the field, as well as recognize young and emerging scientists who are making significant contributions to the field. Got a little fun activities planned as well. We've got a big exhibit hall with 50+ vendors, lots of networking breaks and refreshments. We also have a cool sort of networking party at the Tiki Bar by the pool, being put together and sponsored by one of our sponsors, Perk and Elmer, who has one of their own house bands called Molecular Groove. So they're going to be having their band there with live music. So a lot of fun activities as well. And then, of course, the special session of the Antibody Society is a session that takes place every year, Antibodies to Watch for 2022, where Janice Reichert gives her update on kind of all the kind of clinical progress and what's coming up for the antibody field in 2022. So just a lot of hopefully exciting science, some fun activities and networking, and hopefully we're going to bring some good San Diego weather as well.
I'm very jealous listening to that, Michael. I wish I could be there. Now, for those who can't be there but are using the digital experience to attend, what can digital users expect?
So yes, again, this is a hybrid event, very similar to other events that we've done. We will be live streaming the keynote presentations on the Monday morning. And the rest of the presentations are all being recorded and will be made available for on-demand viewing on our Connect Me platform. So, attendees will have an opportunity to kind of watch those presentations at their leisure. But like I said, join the keynote presentations live at the time they're happening in San Diego. Right.
Now, obviously, in terms of live events, I have to bring it up. I mean, Omicron is in the news a lot over the last few weeks and has obviously impacted some people's travels plans because countries have put restrictions in after they're starting to ease them. So in terms of Omicron, the Omicron variant, and also sort of just safety in general, what precautions have you taken to actually keep the event safe as possible?
Sure, yeah. All of our events, you know, we do have a vaccination requirement or a negative COVID test requirement. So that's something that, you know, we've just kind of initiated for all of our events. We have lots of enhanced procedures throughout the venue, working very closely with the hotel and all of our vendors to have all kinds of precautions in place to keep everybody safe. You know, I would say the pandemic obviously has continued. It's one of the reasons that we have had made our events hybrid. In terms of this particular variant that's come forth, we haven't noticed significant changes before the variant as opposed to after. There might have been, you know, some emails of speakers changing from in-person to virtual and a few attendees. Nothing significant. We're still in the pandemic, nothing that we wouldn't have expected necessarily. We're still expecting, you know, 400 to 500 people in San Diego, which is what we've been planning for all along. And, you know, we're gonna make sure that everyone has a real safe experience and do our best to take all the protocols necessary.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for sharing that with me, and I wish you lots of success next week. So, Michael, apart from the event next week, I know you've got quite a large portfolio and a plan of events next year. If you've got them in front of you, great, we can share them. If not, I will put them above the video in the post with all the dates for the upcoming events within the portfolio. I mean, have you got the dates for next year's AET already for?
Yeah, I mean, the one I'm working on right now that's very relevant to this upcoming San Diego event, I'm working on Antibody Engineering and Therapeutics Europe. It's coming up June 7th to 9th, 2022. Will take place in Amsterdam. In fact, literally today, the preliminary agenda email is being released. We have a price break next Friday, December 17th. Anybody who's got leftover budget in 2021, if you want to register your team, they haven't been able to attend an antibody meeting for a couple of years in person, that event will be in Amsterdam, June 7th to 9th. So, you know, give us a call. We've got a fantastic lineup. Check out the website, antibodyengeu.com. Keynotes are listed, and you know, check it out. But we're very excited to be bringing that event in person in Amsterdam next year. And then we've got some other, you know, digital products coming up as well. But yeah, check the website, and there'll be a full list of them there.
Brilliant. Well, what a pro. You got it straight off the top of your head, just like that. See, hot off the press, people. There you've had it straight from Michael. So thank you very much for that. So I'll put the details above the video. So look, all that's left me to say is I really wish you lots of success next week at the event. I really genuinely wish I was there in person as well. But hey, I'll let you enjoy the sun. I'll just have the snow and rain here in the UK instead. But I'll enjoy it digitally anyway, hopefully. So although there you go, viewers. So if you'd like to know more about the event, check out the links which will be above the video. Find out more about the AET Europe as well. The details will be above the video as well for that. And obviously, if you've already registered, have a great event next week at the event in person. And if you're there virtually, then enjoy that virtually as well. So, Michael, have a great time. Thank you very much for your time today. And thank you, viewers, for watching. Until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.